Hello, beautiful souls. I'll just wait for a couple of minutes for a few people to join us. I can't wait to talk about this topic tonight. For those of you that are new to this community, my name is Lucy Shahjahan, and it is my job to help as many women as I possibly can open their heart so that they can attract in their soulmate, because it's my belief that every single one of us it's our birthright to have a soulmate relationship. So really take that in. This is not just a concept. You know, hey, gorgeous Naima, how are you, darling? When you really take that into your cells and just foster that new belief that you can absolutely have a soulmate relationship, and then get curious about how can I actually get into alignment? Like, what's it going to look like for me to be that highest version of myself? That's what it comes down to. It's not about looks. It's not about age. It's not about whether you think you're good at relationships or not. It's not about whether you've been divorced before, or if every single relationship has been a disaster. Please hear me when I say this. If it is your absolute desire to attract in that beautiful, soulful, heart-connected relationship, you can have it. But you've got to be willing to get out of the way, right? Most of the time, we are totally in the way of ourselves. We have got our armor on. We've got our protection on. And the main belief is that we can't actually have this level of relationship. Yeah, like that's for other people. I've heard people say that to me before. I'm just going to talk about this before I dive into the topic. But, you know, Lucy, you're just lucky. I'm not lucky. I was heading down a path where I was attracting the wrong men. And it really speaks to this topic tonight about, you know, rescuing. You know, it's pretty much every second call when I have breakthrough calls with my divine women, in one way or another, they are in that pattern, that paradigm of rescuing. So I'm just going to dive right in, just because I am incredibly jet lagged. I came back on the red eye from LA last night, so I've got a bit of a thumping headache, and it's hot here in New York, but I'm committed to showing up for you girls because, you know, every week there are topics that need to be discussed. Okay, I always talk about the topic that gets the most airtime during my week. Okay, so let's dive on in. It's totally unscripted. I'm just going to speak straight from the heart. Okay, so please comment as well. I want to hear your comments in the chat. If this is resonating with you, if this is something that you're like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely my area of weakness, ask me questions. That's what I'm here for. Okay, so really, this topic is of, you know, do you attract men with baggage? Are you someone that tends to always attract men in that might have, you know, they might be prone to depression. They might have major issues, you know, with their mother or their father. Maybe they've got a gambling issue or an issue with alcohol or drugs, or really, it doesn't even have to be as dramatic as that. It could just be that, hey, gorgeous Christina, how are you? It could just be that you find yourself constantly attracting these men that aren't ready, right? Put a thumbs up if you're one of those. Christina, I think you're in a nice relationship from the look of your Facebook, so well done you. But really just have an honest conversation with yourself right now. Like, are you finding yourself always the one making effort? Hey, Kasha, how are you, darling? Hi, Danny. Are you the one always making the effort in a relationship? Are you the one that's going to go to the airport and pick up that boyfriend and make all the effort, or even pick up the check all the time? Are you someone that attracts in men that you've got to help them pay their rent, right? Or they've got money issues? I want you to get really honest with yourself on what you've been attracting in, because this is the first place, right, of just getting aware and go, what am I attracting in? Am I attracting in men that don't follow up after we've been on a date? And I always feel like I'm the one that's got to make the effort. Is that what you really want? It's going to take a long pause, because for too long, I didn't stop to check in and go, hang on a minute. If I really am the ant's pants, that's Australian, so I'll say it another way. If I really am the bee's knees, if I'm the bomb diggity and I've got self-worth rippling out of my heart, why on earth would I allow a man to not follow up with me and tell me how great the date was and to not be making date number 2? Seriously, you've got to ask yourself that question. Because if you're not asking that question, you're already tolerating mediocrity. You're already tolerating someone that's not showing up for you from the get-go. And you can't expect the relationship to suddenly just change, right? These dynamics happen at the very beginning of a relationship. So you want to take a look with a magnifying glass, a big spotlight, and ask yourself the question, am I someone that fits into this rescue paradigm? Am I someone that is constantly overgiving, trying to move the relationship forward? Maybe you sleep with a guy before you're ready to because you just feel like this is actually what's going to move the relationship forward. That's coming from lack. That's coming from fear. That's coming from non-worthiness. Yeah. And the only reason we would ever do that is because we're not actually getting our needs met and we're trying to overcompensate to move something along. So if the man is not making an effort with you, he's too busy, his heart's closed, he's not prioritizing you, and you're the one that's like trying to accommodate, trying to fit in around his schedule, trying to help him through his issues. Can anyone relate to that? I used to have a freaking master's in that. And it is so annoying. I was like, why do I attract in these men with these issues? Like, what's with these men in Sydney? It wasn't Sydney, it was me. I used to love a project. And you know why you attract in men that need to be rescued? It goes deep. It goes deep, deep, deep back to your childhood on a very subconscious level. Maybe your mum, she had her own shit going on and you had to overcompensate to get her attention, to get her love, right? So essentially what's happening is you're having to rescue your mum. Or if your parents didn't have a good relationship, you're the one as a little girl going in to try and make it all okay. There are so many different variables. So if you don't fit into one of the boxes that I'm talking about, keep it simple. Do you overgive in relationships? Do you have loose boundaries? Do you stay when you know full well that you should have walked a long time ago? Because this slips into the category of rescuing, of putting up with the bare minimum, which, by the way, if you're in my community, I'm going to say to you, that's not okay. Why are you doing that? Why are you allowing that? Are you telling yourself relationships are just hard and I'll be okay just to make it work with someone? Is that what you're telling yourself? I had a beautiful girl who's just finished Soul to Soul, who you can watch her testimonial, Lucy, with an IE. She literally got on the phone with me. She's from the UK. She's absolutely spectacular. And she just said, I was having such low standards, Lucy, that I would be happy just to be asked out on a date and I would just go along with it. And it's like, how often as women are we doing that? Because we really want to be in a relationship, right? That's a priority. But how often are you making things okay when really internally you're like, no, that wasn't okay. He's not respecting me. He's not booking me in advance. He's not following up with me. He's not making me feel special. Like, we don't want to go victimy about it, but you've got to check in and be like, am I getting my needs met? Does this feel good for me? Or am I the one putting in all the effort and trying to drive this relationship forward? It's a real trap. There was a guy that I was really attracted to back in the day before my beautiful husband. And honestly, here's why you're doing the rescuing, is because you don't want the spotlight on you. You are terrified to be vulnerable and to show that really intimate side of yourself for the fear that they may not like that version of you. So it's much easier to put the focus on someone who needs rescuing, who needs support, who needs you to help them, right? And it somehow feels like we're getting payoff, because I've had guys that are like, thank you so much, Lucy. I just love all this, support you give me and blah, blah, blah. And then once they feel topped up, they walk. Have you ever had that before? And it's like they suddenly marry the next person. You're like, oh my God, like, people always like end up being serious with the woman after me. Like, what's that all about? Because the big myth is that relationships are hard. They're not. Not when you're with the right person, not when you've done the inner work to really open up your heart and access your vulnerability. So you want to really look at this topic in the face and be honest if you are a rescuer and be like, why the F am I doing this? Because it's costing you time. It's costing you a family right now for many of you that want to have babies. And if you don't want to have babies, that's cool. It's still costing you your life right now. It's costing you your dream relationship, to be accepting that relationships are hard and I always attract men that are emotionally unavailable. It's like, cool. How much longer are you willing to tolerate that? Because it's not just going to change by reading a few self-help books. It's not going to change by going to the odd workshop and watching just a masterclass here and a masterclass there and saying a few affirmations. Trust me, if I did not take myself and my life and my dreams seriously, I would not be married to the love of my life with a baby on the way, because I was the queen at rescuing. And it chewed up a lot of my time. And I didn't really know like why I kept attracting in the same frigging men with a different name. And it's really infuriating, right? Give me some comments below if you're actually, resonating with the fact that you have found yourself to be a rescuer. And you know what's underneath it is? You don't feel worthy enough to have the attention, to have the love, to have the support. It doesn't feel safe for you. And as I said, this is not something to beat yourself up about at all, but it's something to recognize so that you can break this pattern, because it's never going to serve you. This is where we end up in unhealthy relationships, codependent relationships, or how about divorce? That's really where this goes. If I look back at the relationships that I was in and the dynamic that I used to get myself into, now I get it. I'm a coach, right? But it's like, you don't want to be coaching a guy. You don't want to become the mother. You don't want to be someone that they're leaning on. Like, that's not sexy. You want to be the leading lady. I'm guessing I can speak on behalf of all of you. Otherwise, why would you be in this free community, right? Ignite your queen, attract your soulmate. And what's happening is many of you are allowing your little girl who doesn't feel seen, who doesn't feel worthy, who doesn't feel enough, who wants to control the outcome because she's actually terrified of love. She's terrified of being hurt. And so it's actually it feels safer for you to attract someone in that you've actually got to help. And you tell yourself, well, if I can just get this person into alignment, if I can just get this person to be someone that commits, or if I can get that person to give up the pot or to give up the alcohol or get him back on his feet again. Oh my God, the energy, even when I'm saying that, is just so heavy, so exhausting, and it's certainly not queen energy. It's a little girl that's still trying to make it okay with her mum or her dad. Can you feel that? And it's not who you are. You were born to be the fucking star in a relationship, yeah? Where this man wants to prioritize you. He wants to hold a big space for you. He wants you to, to live on purpose. He wants you to really grow with you and be there for you in the tough times. That is a soulmate relationship. And it's important for me to speak about, because this word soulmate gets thrown around so much, but you can fill it in with whatever resonates with you, like love of your life, or your partner in crime, whatever it is. My husband, I call him my rock, my best friend, love of my life, soulmate, twin flame. I mean, I could go on. I really could. He's literally everything. But when I say he's everything, I'm also my own person within our relationship. And I don't run to him when I have an issue. I have to hold space for myself. And that's what doing the inner work looks like, where you can be vulnerable enough to be like, hey, I'm having a really rough day, and just breaking down in tears and saying, I just need a cuddle. I'm feeling really insecure today, or I'm feeling really full of fear, or I'm feeling like just really vulnerable and I can't even explain why. And I just need you to hug me. That's powerful vulnerability, right? Just being able to ask for what you need, and guess what? Expecting to get it. That's a woman in the hot seat, in the power seat of her life. And that's who every single one of you in this community really is. So the good news here is that if you are ticking all the boxes, yes, Lucy, I attract in men they never make me the priority. They've always got some shit going on. There's always something out there. They're emotionally closed. I've always got to help them and come to the rescue, and that's the role that I play. And then I always try and make the relationship, like I try and keep it together. It's like, what is that? That's not a powerful relationship. It's a very unhealthy relationship that's going nowhere. And it's sapping your life force. And it's not allowing you to live on purpose and be in your greatness. So if you're tolerating that or putting up with that, you're going to keep getting these men that aren't going to show up for you, because you're not showing up for yourself. We really do attract who we are. And when your belief systems are in alignment with your higher self, your beautiful queen, when your heart is truly open and you're really ready to allow yourself to be seen in that vulnerability, in that fragility, where he sees you, warts and all, right? My husband knows all the sides of me. He doesn't just see me as a powerhouse. He knows I am deeply emotional, deeply sensitive. It's like, I've never met a woman that cries so much. I'm like, well, welcome. Because your emotions could go up a little bit. That's why we're together. But you know what I mean? I don't hide my big emotional life from him. I don't sit here trying to fix him or rescue him. I'm busy committing to my dream. And he supports me with that, and I support him with his dream. But I have to tell you that this was not the trajectory that I was on at all. Because I was a major people pleaser. I would overgive. I had no boundaries. I didn't expect men to show up for me because, as many of you already know, I lost my dad when I was 8. And that broke my heart deeply. So love never felt safe for me. So in every relationship, and even in friendships, I was overcompensating, overgiving, because deep down I didn't feel worthy to really receive and let in that level of love that I knew in my heart I really wanted to have. Yeah? And it wasn't anything from my external life that changed this. It was the relationship with myself. And that is my genius in helping women fall deeply, madly, head over heels in love with who they are. Being able to ramp up your self-worth, being able to take up space, being able to be who you are unapologetically, because guess what happens when you do that? When you allow yourself to rise up to this frequency instead of living down here, you're going to attract that in. And that's where life gets really fucking juicy on every level. It's not just when it comes to relationships. Your ability to allow in to receive more financially, your health starts to go up, your friendships start to up level, the relationship with your family members starts to up level. When people come and work with me, they're like, oh my God, this is so much more than just attracting in a soulmate. Yes, it is. It's about healing that little girl deep within who is too scared to love. So there really isn't too much else for me to cover. Hey, sorry, darling, I wasn't seeing these comments. Hang on, let me just quickly address some of the comments. Often the guys I met had issues with their mother, but they're not aware of it. Yeah, this is a big one. Big red flag. If you meet a guy, I was so clear about what I wanted. This is what I help women as well. If you're not clear, I mean, I don't just mean a checklist with like, did they go to university? Do they have a good bank account? That's all cerebral. But you've got to get clear about the energy of what it is that you want to attract. If you're attracting men with issues, it's because that's what you expect. And not only that, you are trying to recreate your family dynamic. So Danny, the question to ask yourself is, why are you attracting men that have issues with their mother? They're not aware of it, you're still attracting it. Don't worry whether they're aware of it or not. You're attracting that in, so bring it back to you. Naima, darling heart, I feel I started my last relationship on the wrong foot by softening and accommodating from the start. This is what we do as women. Oh my God, the irony is that we are so fucking powerful, us women, right? We are. Just take that in for a minute. And the good news I want you to hear from this chat right now is that you can change this paradigm if you are committed to it. If you're just going to accept that this is what I do, nothing is going to change. That's great that you called that out, Naima. But now it's like, okay, what do I need to do? What support do I need to get? What work do I need to do on myself so that I can break this paradigm? And I promise you, it's not going to happen from just reading a book. It's going to happen from being deeply supported, going back to the root cause, going back to the source, and then building a new foundation, a new way to live, a new belief system. Softening and accommodating is us basically saying, hey, walk all over me, right? I've been there too. I've done that. Feels like shit. It's a basic, like we meet a guy and it's like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Lucy. Hey, here's my power. Take it. And they do, because that's what we're sending to them energetically. We're literally saying to them, because that's why I used to get pissed, because I was like, well, how come this guy didn't show up for me? And then with the next girl, he's gone and gotten engaged. Like, hello? Very different belief systems, very different behaviors, very different paradigms. That's what it was. It wasn't because they were even any prettier than me, right? Wasn't like that. It was just like, why, like, what is it about me? And instead of me beating up on myself, I was like, oh, well, clearly it's not the guy, it's me. And that's what I was bringing out in him. But when that next person showed up, she was off. Obviously, she had a high bar and she expected the best, and he showed up in that context. So of course, yeah, like you said, Naima, exactly like that very first conversation, and that set the pattern for our marriage. The way we start something is the way that we finish. It's incredibly, I'd say virtually impossible to suddenly just take your power back 6 months into a relationship. Okay, I won't say impossible, but it's pretty hard work when you've laid a foundation of unworthiness and you're not acting like a priority, and then you're suddenly turning around and saying, hey guy, I want you to step up. The guy's like, hey, have you got a personality disorder? You know what I mean? Just like you would. If suddenly he just started 6 months later saying all these things to you, you'd be like, well, who is this person now? Hey, Charlotte, how are you, gorgeous one? That was me hiding my emotional life. Hey, beautiful Lizzie. Hello, Lorian. Mwah, I miss you. I love you. So I'm about to wrap this live, but it's whatever you've got, I would invite you to get a piece of paper tonight and just write out all the things you've tended to do. Do not sit there in any shame. Be courageous. Be the observer and be like, oh, my God, like what are all the things that I do in relationships that I know that aren't serving me? And just get really black and white about it. Don't be like, oh, God, don't do that to yourself. Get into the black and white mentality, take the emotion out and be like, oh, my God, I always overgive. I have no boundaries. I do not ever get treated like the priority. This is because you're not prioritizing yourself. You're hiding behind your independence. Write that down. And you're terrified of the relationship ending, which is why you go into that overcompensation, right? It's like you don't expect it to last. So it's just almost like something kicks in where you're like, oh, my God, I don't want him to lose interest, right? On date 4 or 5, you might start to get a bit wobbly of, oh, my God, who do I need to be right now? And that's where it's like a button, like you kick off inside of your belief system kicks in. It's like, oh, my God, now I've got to start, and that's where we can end up getting needy. It feels so shit. I do not look back at my memories of myself fondly. Feeling needy, analyzing texts, when really all I had to ask myself is, hey, Lucy, are you getting your needs met right now? Is this guy treating you like an absolute queen? And if not, then why was I still hanging around to show up for the next date? Because my belief system told me that I could make it better. Maybe it's just going to take some time. Maybe he's just taking a little while to warm up. Can you relate? Yeah? The stories we tell ourselves, it's basically us minimizing our fucking greatness, minimizing that we deserve the best from the get-go. Do not tolerate bad habits. Do not accept them. Because otherwise you are not ever going to break this pattern. It starts and stops with you. So if you don't like the kind of relationships that you're attracting in or the men that you're attracting in, I've got good news for you. It doesn't have to be like that for one more relationship. You deserve the creme de la fucking creme. You deserve the babies if that's what you want. You deserve marriage if that's what you want. You deserve to live on purpose. But if you're going to keep operating out of the same belief system since you've been a little girl, that little girl is still running your life now in your 30s, in your 40s. And that's really as simple as I can give it to you. And the clear distinction here is that you can change the trajectory of your life when you make that decision that you're not willing to suffer through one more average fucking date, one more average relationship, because you want to step up and be the best version of yourself. And that is the only place that we can attract in the love of our life. My mum's talking in the background. So if you've got any questions, post them in the comments below. I'm going to rock and roll. My mum is in town, so I'm going to go and have a cheeky catch up with her. And I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you next week. Mwah. And, of course, if you're ready to hit this on the head, like many of the women here watching this live have, my fucking rock stars, Lizzie, Lorian, then book a breakthrough call with me. Don't book a call just to chat and chew the shit. Only book a call if you're ready to actually step up and to change this rescuing paradigm or whatever else you're dealing with, okay? We'll look and see if this is right for you, okay? Big, big love. Mwah.